In this video, we will be talking about how to annotate data in Chariot. There are two main ways we can accomplish this. The first, called ad hoc annotation, allows us to go into a dataset and update labels individually. The second provides us with an annotation session where we can loop over a dataset or a subset of a dataset and update annotations in a single and continuous pass as new data matches our filters. I want to annotate the XView dataset, and I'll showcase ad hoc annotation with that dataset. I click on it like so. This drops me into a dataset preview where I see a bunch of datums that have been annotated for different types of vessels. This one has no vessels in it, but in this interface, we can slide through the gallery like so. Or navigate with the slider. Let's pull up a datum that's been labeled for surface vessels. This datum has 4 annotations for surface vessels. I can update the annotations if I think they're incorrect by selecting them. Let's say that I thought this bounding box was off center. I could drag it like so. I'll move it back to where it was. If I think the bounding box needs to be resized, I simply grab the corners or the sides and I can expand and change the shape of the annotation. If I think I missed a surface vessel, I can drop into the draw mode and create one where I think there should be. Selecting this annotation, I see that I'm presented with several options on the right-hand side. This is obviously an incorrect annotation, so I want to delete it. Going over to the right-hand tab here, I see that there is an option to delete the annotation. I also have the option to change the label. For example, let's say that I thought this should be a submarine. I could do it like so. I also have the option to hide the annotation from view while I continue to annotate. I'm also presented with 3 different review statuses. First is needs review, indicating that the datum should be reviewed by a human. Second is to reject the annotation, which will flag the annotation as rejected but will not delete it dataset. And the third is to approve annotation. By using the annotation statuses, we can further refine the views and snapshots we create to train our models. This is an obviously incorrect annotation, and I did it just for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to delete it. On the left-hand side, we see a list of supported shortcuts. These are convenient when annotating lots of objects. I also have the option to add a label that is not already present in the dataset. For example, let's say that I wanted to annotate for aircraft. I could add the aircraft label like so, and then proceed to add a label. Once again, I do not want this annotation, and I'll delete it. With this demonstration complete, I want to show you how Chariot handles annotation sessions. I'll close out of this ad hoc preview right here. To generate an annotation session, we go to the left-hand side to the Annotations tab. We would then create an annotation task. Annotation tasks support a variety of annotation formats. For images, we can classify them, draw bounding boxes with object detection, draw oriented bounding boxes, or do image segmentation. For text, I have the option to classify a text datum, classify a span of tokens like with named entity recognition, enter text generation labels, which could be any freeform text. Since I have an image dataset, I'll select image. I want to label this dataset for oriented object detection. So I'll select that. I must then provide a name. I'll call it test OBB. exit. I can optionally enter a description. On the next screen, I have to select the dataset that I want to annotate. That is the XU EO vessels dataset that we saw earlier. On this page, now that I've selected the dataset, we see that some metadata about the selected dataset has been populated. We have 2,179 images containing 3,173 annotations. Only 4 of these are oriented bounding boxes, so we're basically starting from a fresh slate here. On the final tab on this page, we can see the labels that are available to annotate. I'm going to add all of them, and like we saw with the ad hoc annotation view, I can also add labels that are not currently present in the dataset. I'm happy with the selected list of labels, so I will create the task. To enter the annotation session, we simply open the annotation editor. On this screen, we have the option to enter new labels. If I want, I can save the annotations by going to the next datum, or I can skip. I'm going to skip until I find a good example with some surface vessels for us to annotate. As we can see, this image appears to be incompletely annotated for surface vessels. Since we are in the oriented object detection annotation mode, we can edit this clearly wrong detection, like so. As you can see, I made use of the rotation tool to rotate the bounding box to a more correct axis. If I'm happy with these annotations, I can click Next. Simply proceed this way until there are no more datums to annotate, or I'm satisfied with my current. In this case, I want to exit out of this view and go over to the dataset. We can see the annotations we just added by filtering by task type. This is the datum we were just annotating. To view the oriented object detection bounding boxes, we simply select that task. As you can see, the datum has been updated with the labels we were looking at earlier. This completes the overview of annotations in Chariot.